if you aren't showing a video, you should unclick maximize for video. They say that is the reason you have the box. It says that can be turned off as you are sharing your screen. It is an option that is at the bottom of the screen, the share screen pop-up.
Oh, got it. Thank you,
So
Mike.
Comes from,
I did have that
Sarah.
clicked.
Thank you for the suggestion. Hopefully that will work out for us.
How are we looking now? Let's see.
That looks better.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
You got it.
Woo! Success.
Right. So just
thanks for your patience, everybody.
And just one last technical thing then, when you do get to the video, you'll have to either reshare it or show the video from another source. But anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah. Again, okay, yeah, we were about to introduce the Condor crew. Yeah, again, we have Evan here. Evan, give a shout out, and Kara.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
And of course, our newest part of our team, Carolyn Doyle and Grayson Putas. If you guys want to give it, I think you're together, right, on the cam today?
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, so you're live from the San Simeon Condor site, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in the cabin that's near the release pen. So you guys are kind of taking care of the birds now, right? I mean, you showed up and hit the ground running.
Yep. Yeah. It's been great so far.
So maybe Grayson, you start. Maybe tell us how'd you end up here?
Okay. My name is Grayson Potas. I attended the University of Wilmington, North Carolina. I was actually a psychology major, but I got really into birds my senior year, and now I'm really interested in the conservation of endangered species. And I thought, California condors are such an amazing bird and a success story for conservation, and I'm just having a really great time here.
Awesome, thanks. What about you, Carolyn?
Yeah, my name's Carolyn. I went to Cornell University. I majored in biology. And then when I graduated, I worked at a wild bird rehab center, and that's kind of what got me really interested in birds. And then I worked as a piping plover monitor this past summer, and that was great. And it made me really love field work, and that led me to here, and it's been really awesome so far.
Yeah, you guys are being fully immersed in condor life down there. So pretty exciting time for sure, and we're happy to have you on board. Definitely exciting. And let me get the next slide here. Yeah, so when you guys showed up, we went right into release site prep mode because we knew we had birds on the way. The new batch of rookies were coming up and are actually coming down, to be technical here. They came from Boise. And Evan's working away there on we always like to secure the pen. We make sure everything's safe inside. Kind of like spring cleaning, just kind of picking everything up, greasing the squeaky wheels, so to speak. And the crew did a great job in getting the pen ready. And they were getting it ready for good reason, because we had the San Simeon rookies were coming down from Boise, Idaho. And the last update we told you was set up for September 7th. We stayed on schedule, and we had a successful transfer. And Kelly was mentioning earlier, we have a video that captured the whole process, and Joan put together a really nice video piece, and I hope I can get it to play here. They all arrived safely, and we have to give a big shout out to the Peregrine Fund World Center of Birds of Prey and their staff. They drove the birds all the way down to San Simeon, 9 birds, which included not only our birds, but also the pre-release rookies they're going to be released next year up in Redwood National Park, the Yurok and Redwood National Park collaboration up there. And so we're holding them. It's a great place for these 4 Yurok birds to hang out and take in the sights and sounds of a release site and meet other condors. We have wild condors come visit the pen. And so it's a great little training grounds for them. So to give them really great acclimation time before they head up to Northern California. And so, yeah, we're excited to have them here. The transfer. Nice work, Joan. Wait, sorry. I gotta hit the next slide.
I
There
just
we go.
want to highlight that that was done by our own field crew using GoPros. I think it was awesome. Great job.
Yeah, it was fun. We had never really documented a transfer from start to finish, so it was really cool to see all the, you know, for us even to watch it is you forget how much work goes into it, you know. So it's yeah, that was a fun day. It's kind of the for us especially, it's kind of the, you know, they finally get you do all this prep and you know, over the Zoom chats, the last couple of Zoom chats, we're all excited about the birds coming in. When they finally get here, we're, you know, you finally reach the goal. It's pretty cool. And then when you see these birds, you know, and you know, for Grayson and Carolyn, that was their first time seeing that, but to see the look on these birds' faces when they come out of these kennels and they're like, you know, the last place they were was in Boise, Idaho, and all of a sudden they're in this pen in San Simeon. You know, you guys can probably speak to it too. Like what did you see going through these birds' heads?
They were definitely pretty confused at first, but I think excited to be out of the cages.
Yeah, they were happy to be out of there. And yeah, Karen Evan can attest to that when they finally get it's pretty cool. They immediately start to calm down once they realize. And I don't believe, did we have any wild birds around? I was trying to remember. Didn't we have Mike's bird 566 flying around right when we were letting him out?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had yeah, we had a couple flyovers that day. No one landed on the pen quite yet, but they were around.
But it was pretty cool. We had wild birds show up pretty quick after the newbies showed up in the pen, because they're a big attraction, you know, new faces on the ground, so to speak. And I remember who do we have that doesn't come down very often? 171, right? Came down?
Oh yeah, 171 came down to visit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome, the attraction of these new birds. It's even for the wild flock. I think they're just as excited as we are. And again, these
Yeah,
poor
I was
little guys
gonna
are
say too.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I was gonna say I wasn't able to be there, so it was really cool to watch that video and kind of like pretend I was there.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so now, you know, that's when the observations, that's when the monitoring really kicks into gear for Grayson and Carolyn. And I think, Carrie, you took this photo of these two hard at work.
I did, yes.
You know, maybe you
Sorry,
guys
guys.
can maybe you guys can explain what the data you're collecting, that we have you guys collecting.
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, so we just sit in the blind and we observe their behaviors. So we write down if we see them feeding or preening. We also record if they do any mesh flights, which is when they kind of fly at the pen wall and hold onto it with their feet. And yeah, it's cool. We've seen some pretty cool interactions. Sometimes they'll like snuggle with each other. Sometimes they'll like fight, but yeah, it's been really interesting to watch them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're seeing some of the hierarchy start to play out a little bit, even in this micro level. Even with these young birds, they start to build a hierarchy. Obviously, when they go out and get released, they're going to be put way down again. But as a group, they'll start to dominant birds will start to stand out. Have you noticed any birds standing out so far?
Out of all of them, I would say the most dominant one right now is 1042, which is a Yurok tribe bird. But out of 1045 is ours.
No, 1042 is ours.
Oh,
1045
sorry,
is
other way
ours.
around. Sorry, my bad. Well, 1045 then is the most dominant, but I'd say out of our cohort, it would be like, who do you think? 10?
Like 1019 or 1011, I would say.
Very cool.
It seems to switch sometimes, like one bird that'll be like kind of at the bottom of the dominant hierarchies. Like we've noticed, I noticed 1019 is kind of like working her way up a little, like fighting back more, and that's really cool to see. It's like she's standing up for herself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we might get the question, but the window that Grayson is looking through on the image on the left there is actually one-way mirror glass. So we can see out, but the birds can't see in. All they see is a reflection of themselves. So it's a really great way for us to monitor these birds without them noticing us or hearing us. So they go out of their way to be very quiet. We approach from a direction where they can't see us from behind the pen. Whenever we feed them, it's at night. We make sure it's completely dark, and we sneak in and out of the pen. And fortunately, we feed pretty big. Yeah, maybe you guys can explain what we feed them.
We feed them calves usually, like smaller cows. And we usually give them one, but there's 9 of them in there, so they get really hungry. And so we've started putting 2 in there. And honestly, like it's been a day, and it's only almost down to just 1. So.
Wow. So we upped it this week, and they devoured them, huh?
No, yeah.
Yeah, they're growing birds. So yeah, right now it's kind of like we want to have these birds put on the weight and get a good layer of I don't know what you want to call it, but a good layer of extra fat on there, because when they go out and get released, they might not feed for the first week or so once they're out, because they're learning how to fly and making their way back to the site. We've had birds go 3 weeks right after release, before they make it back. So it's good to that we get them at a good release weight before they go out. And that's part of what they're monitoring too, is just looking for any red flag behaviors. If a bird's acting weak or really suddenly drops down the hierarchy, or is sitting by itself and appears injured or sick, it's really important we know that before we release them. So what Grayson and Caroline are doing is very, very valuable. It pretty much predicates anything we do with these birds. So really important, the observations they're gathering inside that pen. And you guys can, I put this slide together. You probably can explain it best. What's going on here?
Yeah.
You want it, or?
So yeah, 7-Eleven and 566 like to visit the pen. They'll like fly on the top, and they'll like stomp around. And sometimes they'll even like interact through the pen with the other birds, and they'll nip at each other. But yeah, this picture, the free flying condors, they're just like sunning on top. And then yeah, the captive condors are just looking up at them.
It's pretty funny sometimes if the smaller juvenile condors are having a little bit too much fun, especially 7-Eleven, he gets angry and starts stomping around the top.
That is so funny. They're literally looking up, that no pun intended, but they're looking up to those birds.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they don't really get the full gist of the intimidation factor just yet, but
yeah.
it's such a good behavioral preparation for these guys. They're going to at least be comfortable around those older birds, and, it'd be a little different on when they're out there, but it's always fun to watch them interact through the cage. I've seen 566 doing that through the cage. We zoomed in on the cam one day, and people got to see the birds interacting between the fence. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And other birds. Yeah, this is 904, which is pretty cool. So different age birds coming in. Again, this is just really good pre-flight, pre-release preparation, behavioral preparation. Just the more birds these birds can meet before they go out, the better off they're going to be. And exciting news, we not only received the birds, but on the 20th, we gave them new tags. And again, before we release condors, we make sure they have a radio tag and a GPS tag, one on each wing, on either wing, and we put on their wing ID tags. And this year, this group, the 1000s, will be orange with the black number. And we had a special guest that the timing just happened to work out. Jeff Corwin was in town filming a new series called Wildlife Nation, and he wanted to include condors in his special, and we were able to have him come participate in the tagging of these birds, and it will air on his show. I don't know exactly when, but we'll announce obviously to everyone on our social media when that happens. But always exciting to have a wildlife celebrity around, but real down to earth. Jeff is a true wildlife biologist at heart, and really passionate about conservation. It was really great to have him there. Here are the new pretty tags that we put on the birds. Who painted those numbers, by the way? Nice work, Gracie and Carolyn, on your penmanship there. They look really good. Nice clear numbers. We joke about it as a field crew, but painting those numbers just right is really, really important. You're looking at, a lot of times when we see these tags, you know, Evan and Kara can tell you we're pretty far away. So a nice clear number tag is gold, you know. So no joke there. That you guys did a great job on those.
Yeah,
So this bird, this is 1042. He has a radio on one wing and a VHF radio on one wing and a GPS on the other. And here's a fun shot of a bird feeding, but you can also see a really good view of the solar powered GPS tag on the right wing there. And again, these are habits they're going to have to perfect when they're out in the wild, how to feed on not only livestock carcasses, but anything from a whale to a, you know, to a deer, to a pig, you know, so they have to, this is really good training for them to feed into these bigger carcasses. And here's 1019. You can see on the left wing, the radio tag, and that is also solar powered. So it's really cool to see solar so important to powering our VHF and GPS tags now. It's pretty cool. Jumping from the release birds to Eniko. That is our last bird to join our group. She will be here in a couple weeks. We have nailed down the date, and so we will announce that on social media, and you guys can watch when we let her go in the pen with the 5 other birds. So this is a video of that Mike Clark from LA Zoo graciously sent us of Eniko socializing with 2 other release birds. She's in a pen right now with some release birds that will go to Southern California. So when they pull those birds out for Southern California, they're going to grab Eniko. And again, we'll transfer her up just like we did the other 5 in a kennel, one of those sky kennels, animal crates. And we'll bring her up. And right before we put her in the pen, we'll give her new tags. We'll give her a GPS, shiny new GPS, shiny new radio, and some beautiful orange tags with the number 31. So I don't know, Carolyn and Grayson, have you finished 1031's tags yet?
Not yet, but we're started on it.
All right, the clock's ticking. So obviously we're all very excited to have Eniko back. This is long awaited. You know, after what Eniko went through last year in the fire, surviving that fire was a miracle. You know, we thought she was more seriously injured than she was. Thankfully, she wasn't. Her leg injury, she's completely healed from. And it was a minor injury at the end of the day, which we were really lucky there. And so, yeah, I mean, talk about full circle. This is a true success story, and we're all excited to see the first time she runs into mom again, Redwood Queen. So that's going to be pretty cool. But again, she'll be in it with all the other release birds. They're all going to have to, you know, have to step up and make themselves a part of this flock. So exciting times ahead for sure. So that's big news. And so the population's doing well. We did lose 1 condor since the last update, a Pinnacles release bird number 961. So the wild population is now at 81. And in terms of nesting, we have 5 of the 6 chicks are still in the nest. 1 we can confirm fledged, or at least is not in the nest area and is likely moving around. Again, the chicks don't have radio telemetry, so we just have to get really lucky. And, you know, we typically track mom and dad around. And if we find mom and dad, we typically will find the chick nearby. So it's just a matter of time. We have the crew's been out daily looking, and we've also have Tim Huntington helping us out on weekends. So yeah, it's just a matter of time. So in reality here, once these all 6 fledge, they will add to the total population. So 81 will quickly go up to 87. And then again, we're going to release 6 birds. So we'll be up at around 93 birds here by Christmas. So that's, you know, we'll be back over 90 birds here pretty quick. So that 81 seems a little daunting, but just so you know, we're going to be bouncing back here pretty quick. And yeah, I touched on all the other stuff. And I think one important finding I've been waiting. It takes a while to get results back on the deaths of condors, but I did get some of those back, and the majority are lead poisoning. 9 of at least of the 12 that I received reports on were all lead poisoning. So it's still it's still our #1 threat to the flock, and the big reason why we're so proactive with the non-lead, giving away the free non-lead ammunition and non-lead outreach. So this is a great photo of 171. Evan, you took this a week ago or so, you said?
Yeah, a few weeks back, Karen and I were driving up the Ridge Road and getting ready to take a set of signals, and a few birds, came and watched the sunset with us. So it was a really beautiful night up there.
Yeah, that's a classic Condor snag. You can tell they use that one a lot. If everyone can see in the photo how whitewashed that branch is. And even if you look at that branch above 171's head, so, everyone asks, is a dead tree important? Even when it's standing, we call them snags, but this goes to show you how even a dead tree is very valuable to a condor. They're more open, and then they provide these great places to spend the night and just stay off the ground and be away from predators. They're nice, safe places for the birds to perch. So even a dead tree that's standing has, a lot of uses to wildlife. Yeah, and Evan, you're going to tell us about some pretty cool movements. I couldn't give a slideshow talk without including one of Tim's awesome shots here. This is Kodama coming right at us. This is down the coast, but we've had some pretty darn cool movements since the last update.
Yeah, absolutely. As the summer comes to an end, we can expect the, day-to-day movement to decrease a little bit. But this past month, we had 828 make a huge travel, almost all the way up to Mount Diablo, which is actually the farthest that we've had a condor move north. I guess looking at the 2020 range, it's about 25 miles outside of that going north, which is really exciting. In about a 5-day period, 828 traveled almost 360 miles, which is insane. But that flight north was just really impressive. It's kind of new habitat that, we're a little unsure about. There's different, components of that habitat that we're worried about, but also, there's really good qualities of it as well. One thing that we kind of were talking about was in that, circled area, there are a lot of windmills going on. We have a little bit of concerns with those, but I've included in the notes on each of these points, how high 828 was flying above the ground, which can, at point number 4, you can see is 834 meters above ground level. So that's, relatively, really high. So wasn't interacting with the windmill or in any way, but, it's exciting. I know Joe was talking about some of the landscape features that really resemble pinnacles. I don't know exactly where those are at. Maybe you could point them out, Joe.
Yeah, they're just right in the center of that circle between the 4 and the 6. Yeah, it's an area, a craggy area, and it's an actual visitor area, but it's right. It's in a pretty amazing spot. But yeah, it's very similar, big spires of rock, and it, the folks that live up there all know about it. And I gave a talk up there years ago, and people up in near Mount Diablo, and they were telling me about these rock formations, and now to have a condor flying up and literally finding them is pretty darn exciting. And so, yeah, and again, they're gonna have to navigate the wind turbines, but it's good to see this bird was well high above them. And
yeah,
on a good clip. I mean, going, this bird was moving.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that farthest point north, point number 5 is about 100 miles north of Pinnacles. So that's covering a lot of ground, but it's exciting to see the interaction with new landscapes, and we're not sure what's out there for them. They're really excited to see them moving around. And then, a few days after that, went all the way south of Pinnacles and came back up to, see us in Big Sur, was observed feeding at base camp. So that bird's really moving around.
Yeah, and that's typical for that age. That's those subadult condors tend to move the most, or we see usually document the biggest movements for those 3 to 5 year old birds. And just as Evan touched on, this is the furthest north we've ever documented a condor, period, or at least in the Coast Range. So that was kind of exciting. Not to say that a bird hasn't flown further north that wasn't wearing a GPS, but the GPS data is really, these GPS transmitters are really just opening up our minds to really how far these birds can go and how quickly they can do it. So I think it's very telling to where this species is going, and the idea of expansion, and condors can go on a scale that they can go point A to point B pretty darn fast. So it's interesting to watch how when they really want to, they can cover some territory. So this has been news the last couple of weeks. We unfortunately, Kelly was mentioning this at the beginning. It's unfortunate we have Junipero showed up at the release site. And again, how valuable our Condor Cam is, and the viewers that watch it. We were able to spot and notice this injury pretty quick. And unfortunately, it does look severe. He's still managing. Luckily, he showed up. We hadn't seen him. Again, this bird has a radio tag that we're able to detect, and we've been signaling him out pretty regularly out towards his nest site, which is really good news. That's where he has his chick right now, 1077. Unfortunately, his mate died earlier in the nest season from 438. She died. We still haven't had the results back on her death, but we suspect it might have been related to lead poisoning. And so he's been solo raising this chick. So to add another level of adversity to this bird's life, he's got to deal with this leg injury. We do not know how he suffered this leg injury. It's pretty endless, the possibilities. Anything from a natural kind of predator attack to, collision with a man-made item. He could have potentially, he could have been shot in his leg. We just don't know. Again, the speculation's out there. Until we're able to look at it, we won't know. And all wildlife, they definitely, we've had other condors as well.
That's what it's looking like, right?
Get injuries. So these birds can get injured. And other wildlife, folks that, especially on Explore, watch other cams, it happens, with raptors in general. So we're watching it very closely. We have pinnacles on the ready to try to capture him if he does happen to show up over that neck of the woods. The good news is, this is a big shout out to Cali Condor on Explore. She posted this short video from last night. He came in, which was pretty smart on his part. If he comes during midday, there's a lot of dominant birds around that when his legs are healthy, he can fend them off. But with one leg, he can't hold his own as much. So if he comes later when younger, less dominant birds are around, he can get in. And it was really exciting to see that he actually did feed last night and was able to drink. So he's basically adapting. He's, just being incredibly resilient, like we know condors are, but this is just another whole level of their will to survive. And his drive to feed that chick, I can just tell you from watching over the years, the drive of these parents to get back their chick is no different than humans. They will die trying to keep their chicks alive. So, to see this guy fighting and, how can you not root for him? It's pretty incredible. And you can see on the photo on the left, I think is interesting. This is a bird that's coming up that he knows he normally could probably fight that bird off, but he can't, and the bird, he's just doing the best he can. So it's amazing how hard that social hierarchy, while it's so important to the flock, when you do become weak or injured, it definitely, you have to basically step up big time. So there on the right, he was able to feed really well last night. So that was a huge relief for all of us, because he's a pretty darn wild bird. Just catching him when he's healthy is tough enough. When they get injured, they become incredibly wily. They almost become more spooked. you can imagine why, because they think everyone's trying to come after them. You know, they're not only worried about us, they're worried about condors coming after them. So it's a bittersweet thing when these birds get in this position, because we really hope if he does go over to Pinnacles that they'll have good luck catching him and we can assess the extent of the injury. But it does look like it's broken. You know, the level of whether it breaks, we've had condors break their backs and heal on their own, and they have a slight waddle the rest of their life, but they cope. So there's not to say that 663 can't heal from this on his own, and he might end up with a little bit of a handicap. But you know, wildlife and condors are pretty amazingly resilient. So yeah, this is a day-to-day issue. We appreciate and greatly appreciate the postings on Explore, folks that are tuning in the cam, helping us watch, because we never know when he's going to show up. And Evan, Evan and Kara, you guys have had luck. And this is another good thing when we find him out at his nest site, get his signal out that way.
Yeah, we've been checking in, you know, every time we go up in that area, we will, you know, take a set just for him. And we have consistently been, you know, getting him moving around in that area. So I know I signaled him up that way early this week with actually Grayson and Carolyn were with me as well. We were training on coast tracking, and we got the signal that direction.
Yeah, so that's a really encouraging sign, you know, having him up there holding down the fort. I mean, it's just incredible what he's pulling off, if he's able to pull it off. So yeah, if you know, what the other good thing is, that's telling us that that's a really, really good indicator that that chick is still alive and that he is pulling through on it. So just keep your fingers crossed that he can keep up the good work. And again, my hat's off to this bird. He's one of the most toughest bird I've ever seen. And let's just hope things turn out for the best. Central California nesting, it's been a great year. 6 active nests with chicks. Again, 4 of those are on the coast in Big Sur, and 2 inland at Pinnacles. We did confirm 1104, the Miracle and Nomads chick down in southern Big Sur fledged, and the other 3 are right behind them. And I'm going to let, this is 1089. This is a photo our volunteer Tim Huntington took. He helps us watch nest and track on the coast. He took this he has incredible photos, but he took this photo just recently of 1089. And yeah, this bird is just on the verge of getting out of this nest, wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, definitely. And it's super cool to watch the chicks like hop around and practice their wing flaps. That's kind of something that we'll look for before they fledge. So I know 1089 was doing that. 1095, which is one of our other chicks as well, kind of made it all the way up to the top of its nest cavity tree and was really flapping around up there too. So even though they're chicks, they still have extremely powerful wings and you can hear them flapping. But it's really nice to see because they're kind of like getting stronger and working on their flights.
Yeah, maybe explain this. This is your photo, right?
Yeah. So I think it was September 10th. I went to go do this nest observation and didn't see the chick in the cavity or like in any of the below branches that are near the cavity. So I thought maybe that this chick 1095 had fledged until he or she started wing flapping and kind of gave themselves away, and was actually at the top of the cavity or the tree cavity, which was probably like 20, 30 feet above. And so we thought, well, there's no way that chick's going to get back into the cavity. That's such a kind of a far journey. But then I went back again and the chick's back in the cavity. So we're not ready yet, but it's definitely close.
Yeah, it's getting close. It's so cool to watch. They're all kind of on the similar, you know, they're all on that verge. And then, yeah, Evan, you took this video, right? This is it's just before fledge.
Right before fledge. I think this is the last documentation of this bird. We've been, this was a few weeks back. I know Kara went at the time after this video was filmed, and the chick wasn't there, so she documented that it had fledged. We're still unsure where the bird is or the chick is at this point, but fortunately 538 has a GPS on her, so we've been really watching that closely to see just about where 538 is returning to, probably to check on her chick and everything like that. So we're keeping a close eye on it. Haven't had a visual yet, but we're excited to see her show up on the coast, or somewhere where we could get a good visual.
Yeah, this nest is in an incredible spot, an area that's protected, so it's really got a beautiful playground to learn how to to learn how to fly and follow mom and dad around. I mean, it's the heart of Big Sur, that's for sure. So yeah, it is. It's really just being in the right place at the right time, catching those parents flying with, and I know Tim over the years has had a lot of luck because he's always got his camera and his big long lens in his hand, and he's been able to, especially at this area where this nest is, he's had a lot of luck. So we're banking on you, Tim. All right, what do we got here? So the rebuild, we had made some good progress this past month. We were able to get the cleanup crew up there, and there's some before and after photos here, and I can just speak to it firsthand. It's really great to have that debris officially cleared out. It took a while to get that cleanup permit, but hey, we're moving ahead. It's just a process we have to go through. But yeah, it's really great to be making some headway. And again, this is the first step in, the future steps of being able to rebuild. We got to clean the slate, so to speak, and start over. So this is a good shot. Here's another one. This is where the old cabin was, and just nice to see all that debris out of there. And yeah, we're going to be building from where this photo on the right is taken. We're building a little further back, not so close to the edge up there. So we're going to let that all grow back and kind of restore itself. So we'll still have that beautiful view. So the big exciting reveal, the Condor naming results. We had, got to think, close to 1,000+ entries. And we just counted the votes, and it was pretty interesting. It was, I was kind of to myself making my guesses who might get picked, but it did kind of fall in line. There were some surprises in there, but I'll start with the first one, and I think this will ring true with a lot of people. Rachel Carson. So Carolyn and Grayson, taking notes here because you're going to have to assign that. Obviously, probably the first names. We'll go with Rachel for one of the released birds, and the second, no surprise here, Jane Goodall, one of my personal heroes. I've been fortunate enough to meet her, and every time I meet her, she's inspiration to, I think, any biologist out there. Her work with chimpanzees was revolutionary. Our third pick is Rosalie Edge, who's the founder of Hawk Mountain. No surprise there. Huge impact on raptor monitoring and conservation of raptors. That's pretty awesome. And this one is really, really cool. This is Jan Hamber, one of my, I've always considered her Grandma Condor to me. When I first came in the program, she was the guru. She was the one who had worked with the wild birds. And she was the one you'd call to go, what did they used to do? And because as we were releasing birds, we were always worried, are their behaviors normal? What's going on? And Jan was our soundboard. She was the one, the knowledge, the wisdom. So she has been part of Condor conservation, oh my God, 60+ years, maybe. Yeah, I think 60+ years. And Jan is still going out and volunteering. That's the word I've been getting from the Fish and Wildlife Service, still going out into Southern California and helping the crews. So she deservedly needs to be on this list, and I'm honored that she got voted in. And Diane Fossey, another, her gorilla research obviously was a game changer. So wow, awesome names. I can't believe it. I had to throw in this photo. This was my special moment with Jane Goodall. I was up at the WSN conference in San Francisco, and she was speaking, and I had a table set up for the condors and Ventana Wildlife Society, and I was manning the table, and she happened to stroll by, and I was just starstruck. I could barely talk, and she took an immediate interest in condors. Because she had obviously studied chimps, and I explained to her, wow, we see a lot of hierarchy similar to primates with condors, and she just, we just taught, we couldn't stop talking about the behavior side, and then she had to leave and go give her talk. So we were able to gift her this condor feather because she's such a spokesman for conservation. And she uses the condor as an example of successful conservation, as one of the examples of bringing a species back from the brink. And so we were honored just to have that, to be a part of that. And and again, to have Jane on the list is pretty darn cool. So again, names will be assigned by Carolyn Grayson. Everyone's going to be excited to hear who is who. And that will be at our next Zoom chat on October 28th. And again, at 4 p.m., that's Pacific Standard Time. And just to wrap up, we have the 5 pre-releases have arrived. We have set, and again, these dates are pretty solid, obviously weather pending. We're going to release these birds in 2 groups of most likely 3, depending on how things work out with the inside the pen. The first release will be on Tuesday, November 2nd. Typically, we will open the doors up in the morning, but we'll have follow-ups on that in terms of at our Zoom on October 28th of the exact timing of the release on November 2nd. And then, of course, Saturday, December 4th, that's the big one. That's when Eniko goes out. Again, both of these are going to be live streams, so everyone can come and watch. They're pretty darn exciting. It'd be great to get updates throughout the day of release from Grayson and Carolyn and the crew. It'd be really cool. And again, Eniko's on her way. She'll be here mid-October, and she'll get released with the second batch. Again, she's going to need at least a month acclimation time, so there's no way we could get her in on that first release group. We still have the 4 Yurok birds. They'll be basically in the audience as well on the release day, because their release will be coming in next in 2022, and we'll be transferring them up to Northern California to their release pen and their final release destination in spring 2022. So lots happening in that pen, and lots of exciting events coming up that we are excited to share with everyone. And again, the live stream just brings it right into your living room. So it'd be really, really cool. And yeah, we have chicks fledging as we speak. We might have had one fledge just now while we were talking. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And amazingly enough, nest season is right around the corner. So now just take a deep breath, and we're hoping Redwood Queen and Phoenix give it another go and go back to their redwood cavity. And we hope they're successful this time around. So a lot of exciting stuff brewing. And again, as Kathy spoke, big thank you to everyone. The Feathers event, fundraising event, was a big success. You can watch all of those presentations that were part of that week of the Feathers event, the week-long event, are all on YouTube. You can find links on our website. And again, the next Condor Zoom chat is October 28th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I believe that's it on the slides. I'll leave it on this slide, and we can do questions.
Yes, thank you, Joe. A lot of love for Jan Hamber. Not only votes to name a condor after Jan, but there's some votes to invite Jan to one of our Zoom chats. So I want to plant that seed for you. Couple of quick questions. How large is that flight pen in San Simeon that we were looking at?
Yeah, it's 24 feet by 18 feet long, and it's 12 feet high.
And you mentioned the one-way glass. Do they see their reflection and have some kind of a reaction? I know there's this turkey outside my office that always comes by and pecks at his reflection. And do the condors ever do that?
Well, I think if they could reach it, they would. It's far enough off the ground. There's no perches nearby, but I think every once in a while they see a flash in that mirror and it gets their attention. But for the most part, I think the level they're at, they can't really, the reflection isn't as prominent. So I don't know, maybe Grayson and Carolyn, have you seen anything?
Occasionally they'll try to like jump up at their own reflection and like, perch on the window, but it doesn't work out. They're too big.
Yeah,
We built it sturdy just for that reason.
Yeah.
yeah. Carolyn and Grayson, have you observed any disagreements among the birds in the pen? And has Joe given you any instructions on what to do about that? Would we ever go in and give a bird a timeout or anything like that? How are they interacting with each other? And is everything going well in that regard?
They get along well. Sometimes at the carcass they fight with each other, and sometimes they'll play tug of war in a weird way, like with the meat that they're eating. And most of the time though, if they get into a little tussle, they'll actually like go over and apologize afterwards. It's like the cutest thing I've ever seen. They like will perch next to each other and like cuddle with each other and like wrap their necks and stuff. It's so cute.
You can see that on the cam sometimes.
Yeah.
See these guys, the neck wrestling, like what I was showing with the Eniko on the ground. They always make up, it seems like.
Yeah.
Joe, burning question on the chat. There seems to be a lot of interest in the kennels that you're using to transport the birds. And so my question to you is, who gets to clean those kennels once you're finished with them?
We did some yesterday. So yeah, us, Darren and I
Yeah.
cleaned some yesterday. And Evan cleaned some as well.
Yeah.
So perhaps there's a hierarchy among the crew as well.
Who gets to clean them?
No one is above cleaning a condor kennel.
Right.
Yeah, similar to the person who has to test the wire fence around the sanctuary for the electric charge.
We leave that one for Evan.
Yes, that's my specialty.
It's his specialty. Yeah.
Now, these birds in the pen, they're all establishing their hierarchy and their pecking order, so to speak. What about Eniko? When Eniko arrives, is it kind of like the new kid in school? Eniko's a celebrity to us, but these birds don't know Eniko's pedigree. And so what will Eniko have to establish her place in the hierarchy?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, she won't be any different. She won't have any special passes. She'll have to get right in there. But fortunately, she's coming from a group. She's already in a group of birds of similar age. So we think it'd be, obviously she's gonna be the new kid on the block, but we think it'd be pretty seamless. I mean, she's definitely gonna have to figure her way around and figure out who the tough guys are or tough gals are and just kind of navigate it. But she's already been doing that where she's at LA Zoo. So socially, I think she'll be fine. She's definitely gonna have, it's gonna be like your first day of kindergarten. It's gonna be a little shocking, but she'll make friends pretty quick, I think.
A common question that we receive during the RSVP process for these chats is, what can we do to help condors thrive? And we have a small, maybe not so small army of condor lovers out there, condor supporters, and many live far away from where condors are actually in the wild. What can the average person do to help condor conservation? And I want to open this question up to Kelly as well as Joe and anyone else on the crew maybe who wants to respond. I have a couple of thoughts on my own, but I open it up to the panel here.
Well, I'll jump in because Joe, you gave a nice shout out to Cali Condor, and I think she's even in this chat. And gee, I just want to echo that sentiment that, you know, people who are watching these cams and reporting important incidents or just any kind of you know, documentation of what these birds are doing is wonderful, because you know, this is a streaming camera, which you know, we within a short amount of time, I think 24 hours or so, it's already archived and a lot harder to get to. And so if we're not watching 24/7, some things can get missed. So that's a great way for people, no matter where you are, to help these condors, is watching through the cam and make sure that we're seeing these important, very subtle, sometimes subtle cues.
And I can also add that I've spoken with people regarding non-lead ammunition outreach, and part of what part of our conversations have been, how can you talk with your neighbor? How can you talk to the hunter who lives down the street about non-lead ammunition in a way that will not alienate him or her? And so I think having that mindset of wanting to support hunters and ranchers for all the good that they do for condors, at the same time talking to them very openly about the non-lead ammunition issue. And so I think having that sort of acceptance and willingness to reach a hand out and support those communities who are working towards condor conservation is just it's a process, and a recognition of the issues and the process as being one that takes time. I think is that understanding, I think, is very helpful for condor conservation. Any other thoughts?
I'll add to that, Mike, because if you are talking with people who are you know, actively out on ranches or out hunting, one thing to keep in mind, if you want to watch more, we did a whole Zoom chat on this a few months ago, and it's recorded on our website. You can go back and check it out if you missed it. But, you know, basically one of the biggest underlying problems right now is the market doesn't support the switch. Unfortunately, there's not enough copper ammunition in some calibers to come anywhere close to supporting all of the people out there that want to switch or need to switch, put it that way, due to the new law that requires the use of non-lead ammunition in the state of California. But again, if you want to just go to the nearest gun shop and ask them if they have copper 22 or many especially small caliber ammunition, they're most likely going to say no. So it's the point in all that is to be sympathetic, because on the one hand, there's a big segment of the population. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a group of people out there that have a long tradition, and they're being told they have to switch to non-lead ammunition, and yet they can't find it. They can't buy it, and they can't order it online and have it shipped to them from another state either. So it's important, I think, to understand that they're struggling with trying to comply.
Yeah, and I think folks that aren't necessarily in California or other parts of the country, I think just remaining strong to your strong supporting of conservation in general, whether it be local species around where you live, and participating and helping there at all. It's kind of like it takes a village kind of approach, and it's not directly to condors, but I think keeping the conservation ethics going and the movement going, even if it's in your area, it impacts everything. And it, so, you know, not necessarily directly to the condor, but I think just everyone, you know, just being a conservationist really helps.
And thanks to everyone who is joining us on the chats, and those of you who are members of Ventana Wildlife Society. We support condors through our voices and our wallets. Thank you so much for your support. Upcoming, we'll have information, I guess, Joe, on releases that people can participate in remotely. There have been some questions about whether people can attend the releases, but there will be remote viewing options.
Virtual.
Via Zoom. And so look for those announcements coming up. Another Zoom chat coming up October 28th. Please join us for that. And I will throw it to you, Joe, to wrap things up today.
Yeah, and I think that you hit it right on the head there. At the next Zoom, we'll have more details about the release. Obviously, that's occurring on November 2nd. And again, we'll be closer to knowing what the weather is going to be doing at that point. And again, like a lot of these releases, there's a chance to get pushed up to Wednesday. If we have a storm coming through or high winds or just unfavorable weather. So that's always a possibility. But in past releases that we've done, live releases, everybody's been really, really great about it. So it's as we say, we're on Condor time. We got to release these birds when it's best for them. And so that might mean shifting things a little bit, but that time of year is typically pretty good for us. It doesn't really get real nasty in our neck of the woods until January. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some nice windows of weather, and we're excited. We're excited to get some birds out there.
Well, great. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.